Well, good day, good day, good day, everybody. Thank you for coming back with us on day 2 of Lifting the Weight Online Summit. And today, of course, one of our expert speakers in the house is Miss Eboni Gee. She is coming to us from
Baltimore, Maryland.
Baltimore, y'all. Come on, shout out to all those persons from the from the Baltimore. But the lady that's sitting on the opposite end of the screen and in your living room this evening is a certified nurse, but not just a certified nurse. She is the co-owner. Could you tell? She's the co-owner in
Living with a Purpose Consulting.
Living with a Purpose Consulting. And so she comes to us highly qualified and highly trained. But the beautiful part about this summit is these are not just trained and certified experts. These persons have their own individual background story that they're saying to you, listen, I'm not just qualified to teach you. I've walked or I've been where you now sit. And maybe something I share with you today might shed some light on your own personal situation, thus ultimately lifting the weight. That is why we are here. Now, don't forget, you have some activities you should be doing. I want you texting. I want you posting on Facebook. I want you tweeting. I want you tag me, tag Eboni. Let the world know that you're participating in this online summit and how empowering and impactful it is. Because if it's good enough for you, it's sure good enough for somebody else. We've got to do our part and spread the word. Can I get an amen? Y'all don't cost me shot and hit a date. But thank you for joining us, Miss Eboni. And so I'm going to let you tell the people a little bit more about Eboni. Who is Eboni besides the degrees and the qualifications? What has Eboni been through? You know, because sometimes people say, man, I know you qualified doctor, but you never walked in my shoe. And so we come to dispel that myth because, you know, Holy Spirit said the other day, you cannot expect healthy people to understand how a sick person feels. And so when we do see doctors and we do see nurses, we think you guys are, you know, not sympathetic. You don't know. Let's prove them wrong today.
We're definitely going to do that.
So tell us a little bit about you, Miss Eboni.
Well, like I said, I grew up in Baltimore, Maryland, and I didn't always want to be a nurse. I actually wanted to be a civil engineer.
Wow.
And, but nurturing is in my blood. Like I've always been the person when somebody's sick, I'm taking care of them, or I'm, you know, that shoulder. So yes. I've always been a nurturing person. And so when I got into dialysis, is working with kidney patients, they just touched my heart. Wow. So much. And it was, you know, because you become a family. You're with people 3 days a week, 4 or 5 hours at a time. Yes. And you start to see them sometimes when you're working 15-hour days more than you see family sometimes. So, yes. So that's how I end up, you know, on that nursing track. But in my life, I am the oldest of 3 kids, and my parents were 2 parents who stayed together for the kids, but they really should have not stayed together.
So it was not so healthy for the kids that they stayed together for.
No, it was not. It was not a healthy atmosphere at all. My father was a person, and I really feel like I've been thinking about this as I've been thinking about this summer, and just things that, you know, sometimes life at different moments in time causes you to reflect.
Yes. And
as I have been reflecting on my life, I realized that I'm so dedicated and I'm so passionate about talking about mental health because it was such a huge problem in my household.
Yes.
My father was somebody, he held on to the past. Mm-hmm. And I'm talking, when I was a kid, he was telling me about things that my mother did when she was, because they had been together since they were 15. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, so I would have to hear stuff that happened in their relationship when they were teenagers. And I always knew it was something not right with that. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. But as I grew up, I started noticing that whether it was inherited or just indoctrinated from living in that house, that I too began to pick up unhealthy habits, not being able to let go of things. Mm-hmm. And my whole thing was I was always one and done. You know, it's not, I don't carry a grudge. I'm just done with you. Mm-hmm. You know, and that's not, So that's not a healthy, but it's really not.
Ebony, that's a big cutthroat, guys. You hear? I want to put a pin in that. Ebony says she was the one that you were one and done, meaning you had one chance, one opportunity. Do not press go. Do not come back. That is a spirit of unforgiveness, y'all. And so, guys, we're talking about lifting the weight, and that is what she's talking about now. Remember, this program is not just about physical weight. It's about mental, emotional, psychological, and she's sharing some of the psychological and mental weight that she carried. But I see she's building this platform. You built it, girl. I get it.
Yeah. So it's because I really feel like you're not able to shed your physical weight until you tackle all of those other weights, because you won't be strong enough, you won't be consistent enough, you won't be disciplined enough to actually follow through if you're not mentally, emotionally, psychologically strong. It's not going to happen.
That's correct.
It's not going to happen.
So, sorry.
No. I was just going to say that's what I realized when I got to a point in my 20s where it was like, this is not how I want to continue to live the rest of my life. When you see other people who have lived their lives in that misery, and you realize you have a choice. You can continue this cycle or you can break it.
Yes, I like that. It does not have, that end result does not have to be your end result. See, but you still went through a process. You still fell into, the hypothetical trap based on, like you alluded to, it could have been from the environment, it could have been hereditary, whatever. We're not going to try and categorize what it was, but that negativity, those bad cycles were passed on to you. And so here you are, a young woman, realizing that this is not what I want for my life. Just like the person on the other end of this platform, she's in a position, a mental state, a physical state, an emotional state, saying, this is not what I want for my life, but how do I find my way out? And so I'm hoping that in this next phase of Ebony's statement, that the strategy she used to apply to her life to find her way out that can help you. See, because it's not until you come to the understanding that where you are is not where you want to be. And so, just yesterday I said to somebody, if you can't confront a thing, then you can't change a thing. And so if you hide it, if you never say that this is the problem and you don't address it, how can that first be changed? Right, Ebony?
Right.
And
that's true.
And so Ebony said to herself, this is not what she wants. She recognizes these things from other persons, and this is not what she wants, and she knows where it ends. And so she now wants to make a difference. What were some of the next steps that you implemented in your life that you felt started to change the cycle, the downward cycle of maybe depression, of mental confusion, of maybe loneliness or anger, or like you would say, the lack of forgiveness? What did you do and how can these persons who are now listening, walk the same path if it's needed?
Well, the first thing you have to do, like you just said, you have to acknowledge it. You have to admit it. You have to face all of those ugly truths about yourself that you might not want to admit. Nobody wants to admit that they have, ugly, undesirable characteristics and traits.
But we all do. Isn't that something?
Yes. We all do. So the first thing that I had to, because for a while I was the victim role, or I was that person that felt like, well, I don't do anything to people, so I don't need forgiveness, which is crazy. It's a crazy thought. We all need forgiveness, whether we perceive that we've done something wrong or not. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So I first had to get my mind wrapped around the fact that you're not this, not holier than thou, but you're not as innocent as you're playing to be yourself. We all fall short. We all make mistakes.
Yes. Okay, I love that. So first things first, self-evaluation. Michael Jackson said it so good. I'm starting with the man in the mirror. And today we are starting with the woman in the mirror. Yes, somebody did you dirty. Yes, those bad situations and circumstances happened in your life. Yes, he left. Yes, he didn't pay the child support. No, daddy didn't come back with the birthday cake. We can go on and on and on. But we have to determine that where we are now is not where we want to be and not where we're going to stay. And if it means addressing it, confronting it, screaming, crying, releasing it through whatever channel that you feel that you best can express. Words are not necessarily necessary. You don't have to go and tell somebody, this is what happened to me and this is what I've been carrying and it hurt. Somebody hears you. Somebody knows the sounds. Somebody understood. And only that somebody, y'all don't want me starting here today, can give you the peace that you need. But it cannot happen until you confront it. it cannot happen until you said that this bothers me or it still bothers me. And that is the first step. And when Ebony started to talk about that, you know what came into my mind, Ebony? Love. You know, you talked about forgiveness and not necessarily doing something to somebody else to need forgiveness. But sometimes we have a most difficulty forgiving ourselves.
Yeah.
Listen to me. I'm not talking somebody else's truth. I'm talking my own. And so, you know, like she said, we all fall short. Nobody is perfect. But, you know, even if you did something, you apologize. Sometimes we carry ourselves so hard to the point where I can't believe I did that. Or, you know, whatever the scenario is. But until you realize that an ultimate price was paid for you and you are the forgiven, and no matter what happens, you are forever loved and will be loved, then you will realize that this thing that I'm walking around is not even necessary. Right, Ebony? And so, you know, your first step was forgiveness. Your first step was confronting yourself. And then what happened next? What other things did you start to implement? Because the other things we did were habitual.
Right.
And so now we have to break those habits.
Right. Yes. And I find that just breaking a habit isn't enough. You must break the bad habit and replace it with a good one. Because otherwise you're creating a void. And I know when you're trying to get out of bad habits, voids are no good, because all voids do is either take you back where you came from or leave you feeling empty and confused. So I started journaling. I started meditating. I was always into prayer, but I started a more purposeful prayer, like seeking out Bible verses that apply to me, and just, you know, just picking parts of the Bible. I love Psalms. Like I love Psalms. So I can go to Psalms anytime I'm feeling, you know, because that's the one thing about a journey is just because you overcome once doesn't mean you won't see that test or trial again. So you have to know and have to remember how you got out of it. So that when you see, you know, you might not see it. It might not come from the same person. It might not come in the same direction. It might not come in the same way. But you will recognize the signs and you will know what to do.
Yes, I love it. I love it.
Yeah, so I started with at the time I didn't really know I was developing personal development and self-care routines, but that's really what I started doing. I started reading to nourish my mind, because when you're sensitive like that, you have to guard your mind. You have to guard what's coming in. And I like, you know, a ratchet TV show or music every now and then, just like anybody else. But when you're trying to heal and you're really doing deep work on yourself, that is not the time.
I want you to repeat what you said. Ebony just said she like ratchet, y'all. She like a good ratchet TV show or a good ratchet song every now and again. Did you guys really understand what she said about personal development and self-healing and guarding your mind? I thought that was so awesome, Ebony, and very powerful in its timing, because she made a perfect point talking about healing your mind. If you are in an emotional state or a mental situation where there's a lot of craziness running through your mind, you're going to have to start filtering what you're putting in to determine what you're going to let out. And so that's what she meant by personal care and self-development. And so if you're experiencing anger issues and displaying anger because of the burden or the baggage that you were carrying, you now have to feed your spirit, feed your mind and your mental thoughts with what? Love, joy, peace, all of these different kinds of things, whether it's reading books, whether it's watching them on programs, whether it's listening to them on the radio. Keep the negativity out of your space. Not while you're trying to restore, not while you're trying to be renewed, not while you're trying to replenish. No, you can't have it. And if they can't understand that I can't be around you, that's on them. You've got to do what you've got to do for yourself. Sometimes, just sometimes, it's about that self-survival. And if you don't take care of yourself, it's going to lead into a downward spiral. And we want you here. We want all of you here, because your purpose matters and your destiny matters. We don't want halfway. We want the abundance that we were promised and the fullness of the life that was given unto us. And this is the way how you get it. This is the way how you keep it. The self-development that Ebony is talking about, the self-care, the love. Yeah. What else you have for me today, Ebony?
I would say affirmations were huge for me, because during this time, I had never experienced anxiety before, but I started having, you know, anxiety, which when I went to the doctor is what he told me it was. And I was like, I'm not taking any medicine. You know, I'm not going to let some external forces control my internal and take my internal control.
Yes.
It just wasn't, I'm not advocating to do it that way, but I'm just saying for me, that was a choice. It was difficult, but I would say affirmations, like when I would start to feel tense or start to feel sad or anything, if I would start to feel anything that was undesired, I had 50 or more, whether it was a Bible verse, whether it was just the affirmation that I made up. They started out as Bible verses though. And then as I got stronger, I was able to think of, off the cuff, because when you're weak and you're healing, you're not quick with it. That's why you have to, it's very important to make a plan, because when you get into that mindset of, oh, I don't know if I can do that, when that self-doubt creeps in, when that fear creeps in, when that procrastination creeps in, you need a go-to plan where it's already laid out for you. You don't have to think about it. You go back to your plan. Okay, I'm lost right now. This is what I'm supposed to be doing.
I love it.
It's literally that manual in the beginning, and you'll get to freestyle a little bit later. But in the beginning, it's very important to have a concrete. I call it. It's almost like a game plan. How you're going to take back your life.
Yes. Ebony, you said something I'm smiling at, because I think Ebony's a gangster in the spirit, y'all. We just had to talk about ratchet. Now we talking about another. Listen, thank you. Listen, we all got a little bit of hoodness. Come on now. Yeah. Something is threatening your life. Something is threatening your children. Something is threatening your husband. The ugly liable to pop up in here. Come on, somebody. We keeping it real on lifting the weight today, because this is how we lift the weight, by being transparent, not by being fake. Come on now. Yes, we educated. Yes, we qualified. Yes, we can quote the scientific terms and tell you what the pancreas and no, we ain't here about that today. We taking care of the total you. And so we got to make sure that mind is right, that the spirit is right, that those emotionals, back and forth are taken care of, so that when we get to, this is how you need to proportion your meals. When we get to ensuring that you have to work out this and X, Y amount, ensuring that you're drinking your water, we got to get there first. Your mind cannot conceive those things if it's not in the right space and place. You're going to start and then you're going to fall short. And we don't want it to happen. We in it for the long haul. It's about the longevity. And so she talked about a game plan last night. I'm smiling because in our Facebook community, we have our own Facebook community called the War Against Obesity Cause. Guys, we specialize in teaching people how to eat to live and not to die, right? And so last night, we're continuing this subject on meal planning for weight loss. Ebony, you're familiar with this. And so there's one thing to meal plan, meaning I'm planning what my son is eating, my daughter is eating, my husband's eating. I know it's for breakfast, I know it's for lunch, I know it's for dinner. No, we're talking about meal planning for success. And in this, account I'm giving, it's because these particular persons said that they want to lose weight. And so last night we talked about game plan, your game plan being your GPS. Come on, somebody, your game plan for success, or your guide to success. And so when you said it, it made me smile. And that is the same thing that she's talking about today. What is the guide for your success on those days when you are not strong enough for it to happen automatically? There has to be something in place that puts you in the position for it to continue going. And Ebony just talked about hers, and tonight we're encouraging you to write yours and to find yours. That's the next thing, Ebony. You knew that I don't know if you knew, but you clearly had to enjoy writing for you to turn to the journal. You've realized that you had to find a mechanism to release. Is that a better term for it? And she started to journal. And so you're going to have to find a healthy release mechanism to channel all of these thoughts and issues and anxiety. And as you release into that thing, you're now pouring back with the reading, pouring back with the music, pouring back with the teachings to help fill the void that Ebony is now talking about. Correct, Ebony?
Yes, that's true. You have to, and I know I've heard of different types of journaling I talk about a lot. And, you can either reflection journal, which is great for me, when you're feeling low and you're feeling like, oh, what have I really done? It's great to go back and read what you've actually done, put that stuff on paper, go back and look at it. Look how far you come. Look how you used to talk about yourself or others or your life, and look how you feel and talk now.
Yes.
You can also brain dump. You can brain dump, where I know I started in the beginning that too, in the morning before I woke up, and at night, all of those crazy, cyclic thoughts that just kept happening, I would dump them all in the journal. And then that way it decluttered my mind, and it actually allowed me to start to try and process, my plan.
I love that. I love that. I love that. She said brain dump. The reason why you can't sleep at night is because you're not releasing it. I know it because I walked through that. I would lay in my bed from 8 p.m. in the evening with my eyes still awake at 2 a.m. in the morning, cannot sleep. Why? I used to tell my husband, because my mind is still awake. Why is your mind still awake? Because you're not finding a healthy release channel, a healthy release avenue. And I started to do the very same thing. I started to journal. I started to develop a relationship with the Lord. And so I found an outlet to some degree that I felt a releasing that, so that when I laid my head down on a pillow, I had peace. And if you're not having peace in the night, if you're not having peace in the day, you now have to find a healthy outlet. Guys, we are still talking about lifting the weight. We are still talking about it because the persons that are sitting here understand the importance of the mental aspect versus just the physical. You want to know why you've been losing the same 20 pounds? Because you never addressed the cycle. You're still not sleeping properly. That's right. You're still up 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, sleeping for 3 hours and then going to work all day, working out in the gym for 3 hours in the evening, eating the salad, the celery, and the broccoli, and still retaining. Because you never released, not just physically, but you didn't do it mentally. And you may be surprised when you take the steps that we are talking about today, the changes that you see spring forth in your life. And so, Eboni, we got about 5 more minutes. Final words for the persons that are listening on this platform today. And please let them know how they can connect with you. If someone is sitting there saying, Eboni, something you said is resonating in my spirit, I want to know more. I want to hear more. What would you say to them today? And let them know how can they find you?
I would say, as my last words, the final piece of I guess my mental transformation was visualization. Ooh. Like, I never understood. People did vision boards and all that stuff, and I never did them because I'm like, I don't understand. Nobody really explained how you're the accurate use of a vision board. It's not just to post pictures of things that you daydream about. It's to visualize your actual future, your actual life. What do you want to see? And if you want to see yourself 50 pounds lighter, you have to see yourself 50 pounds lighter. You actually have to believe it. You have to ask for it. And then you have to act as if it has already happened to you. So, if anything I said resonates with anyone, you can reach me. My website is www.lwapllc.com. On there, you will find blogs. I have a whole resource page with
good stuff.
Free resources for everything, because our main focus is healthy mindset, goal setting, self-care, and personal development. That's all we talk about. All aspects. It could be your person. It could be how your unhealthy mindset affects your marriage, how it affects your children. We get into all of that. So if this resonates with you, then look me up, and it was a pleasure speaking and enlightening with you all.
All right, there you have it. There you have it, coming to the end of day 2 of Lifting the Weight Online Summit. Listen, Eboni, we are so glad that we had you on the platform today. I know, guys, this might not have been quite what somebody expected. They thought that we might have been jumping up and down, shouting until you got to do 50 push-ups and drink this and do that. It's coming. We ain't there yet. We got to take care of the mind first before we can even address the body. Come on, somebody. And so don't forget, this is a 3-day process. And then we have an extra special day, a bonus day, where you can meet Eboni. Ask her the questions that you want to ask her. Come on, somebody. And she's going to have to answer. And so we look forward to chatting with you guys tomorrow on day 3 of the Lifting the Weight Online Summit. And in the words of my Baptist preacher, blessings, 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 and more blessings.